entirely honest, it's not paralleled. I think, and that's the hardest thing to break down, is you look at the statistics and you say nobody's done this, and maybe they could break every record continually if they do the same here. They're opening on their attack. Their attacks are violent, they're quick, they're creative, and Cafe is a map where, if I think back to some of the most fun I've seen FaZe play, Cafe was one of those maps that takes across the top. They had some clever plays and strategies, and also they had a very recent showdown on this map where they 7-0'd against Chiefs, I believe it was Cafe.
Well, that means there is some VODs to watch, I guess, for the side of Rogue.
Overnight,
going at it. It wasn't much, considering it was a 7-0. No. It's not the full 12 rounds you'd hope to see, or 15 even. But at least it's a little bit of VOD review you could go for. And as it is going to be the Valkyrie removed together with the Thatcher and the Hibana, it's going to be the Mira to finally be gone as well. So it's going to be a good set of bans to really come through. But of course, to probably deal with some of the hatches, you know, especially towards the bottom floor. But there's different ways to go at it.
Now, as we find ourselves starting to look towards an approach here, you're thinking, okay, Rogue, what lessons can you have learned? What do you think was the flaw in the approach here from FaZe? What do you think that you can do that could not be done by Chiefs yesterday? That could not be done by a lot of teams that have wanted to go up against them very recently? What little bit of sharpness do you think can bring heat to a game that, to be fair, has never been your strong suit? Their defense has never been what has lit things up for Rogue. If they find some of these rounds start to slip away from them, then they're suddenly in a very tricky situation of, well, now we're in a bit of a slump. Now the energy's starting to fall. Oh no, is it happening again? And then it's tough.
I mean, they already do have 2 wins on the board, so they have that going for them. They have the head-to-head over the other 2 teams currently that are below them in the group. So for them, you know, this match is like, okay, we're allowed to lose this one as long as we win the next 2 after this, of course. So there might not be as much pressure on them as you would otherwise expect. Same, of course, goes for FaZe. They're currently unbeaten, not a single round drop. They just look to continue that trend, and on the attack, they will go. Let's see what Rogue's setup will be to try and stop it from happening. A lot of the ADSs are moved towards the cocktail balcony. You see 2 behind the reinforced wall, 1 on the bar, and, well, you see the Flores. And I cannot help but wonder that one of those RCs is just going to be used to get rid of every single one of those.
Flores is such a good use. Flores consistently on this map is one that can bring a lot of quick damage and a lot of this destruction that otherwise is a bit of a blindside. We used to look at this as a map where it was such a big struggle, where there was so much build and take over pixel or put the pressure around on a corner, because it's a top-down take across the board generally. They're going to see if they can apply some pressure onto that top floor and do a catch, but to be fair, catching loose players has been a FaZe talent, a consistency of setting a web of traps and guns and then just going.
That is it, like, they just know when to go. They just have that opportunity to press that button and go for it. Something that we've praised BDS for, especially on a map like Cafe, that as soon as everything is kind of hitting a roadblock, they just go for it. Look at Ryan, he's going to go for the run out here, has the opportunity to pick up the first, gets that one as well, and gets back into the bakery. It's Bullet, that's the first one to fall. That's the Yana gone. Leon Gates has taken a bit of damage himself.
It's early doors and early mornings here as FaZe suffer that opening blow, and a second follow-up. Crying is trying to do the impossible, which is take care of all the players of FaZe. The pre-fire onto Pillars means that they can slip their way in. Cyberzera takes over the top with another body onto the new bout. There is one just on the laundry hatch, but they have a hop down if they need it. Rips. Let's Rip takes care of Cyberzera on the top. One more. They aren't just close to taking the first round that FaZe have suffered. They're close to opening with a flawless round. Astro is the last remaining player left in the middle of the top of the floor, holding for a lockdown, but with a minute and still a lot of a lockdown to go and huge angles to play with, there's no rush for Rogue.
After 14 rounds, It seems like FaZe finally starts to bleed here into the server itself. It's Rips that picks up the last kill. It's the Flawless that will hit them. It's FaZe that have been proven to be able to bleed. And Rogue, well, they started off strong. Aces responds with at least no 7-0 in the chat. So they got that one going for them. They're already improving compared to the rest of the group. And FaZe is having a laugh with it. They're enjoying it. So there's a lot of banter in between themselves. And Crying here with a great opening, actually. Cyber, well, he knew where he was, but just walked right into the pre-fire of Rips. And that's basically it. Just a lot of angles being watched. FaZe not really knowing where the Rogue members were playing, I feel like.
It was well played, and I guess what we'll see is that just an early morning wake-up call for FaZe, sort of getting into the groove of things. It was great strikes, especially the movement from Cryan, exploring the map, exploring the possibilities of stuttering and suffering FaZe early on. They struck with a run out, they hit it on the big open door, and it wasn't watched by FaZe. And that's strange to compare that to how they were playing yesterday, where everything was fervently watched by FaZe. Rogue have done what yesterday seemed impossible, taken around against FaZe, but it's just the start. And now we're going to start to get into a game as we head up to the top floor, and let's see if FaZe have a response.
Yeah, can FaZe respond to what Rogue have just done? Now, these runouts, those are things that generally should only work once, maybe twice in a game, especially if you're doing it from a bakery door. I think that one will be watched a little bit closer now by the FaZe members. They will be aware of the fact that someone might be going for a jump out. So if any of them would be deciding to go for a rappel up onto the west side of the piano, surely someone will be watching for jump outs and for potential run outs from the balcony, just to make sure that it does not happen yet once again.
Well, knocking open as much as possible. They have the hatch on a drop, and the arena gate's going to mean that they can't get a quick throw around onto Cigar, but the door being open is a part of a danger. The drone pulls back, and look at this. Even the roof hatches are open. They are fully playing an aggressive game here and trying to find some sort of, I guess, lean into the FaZe approach. They want to make FaZe uncomfortable. They want to make that opening minute a danger, and they want to try and put them in a bit of a, well, how do we approach? Which is a question FaZe haven't really been forced to ask.
Well, they will be forced now. It's Rogue that tries to waste as much time as they possibly can, but it's Bullet that starts to enter in from below. Went in from the small bakery, now ascends the red stairs. Hopes to pick up a kill somewhere, but first decides that it's time to make a quick stop here at the first floor. Try and figure out if there is one of the members of Rogue currently roaming around. Of course, has true frag grenades available as well that he could use for some verticality. It's in stroke to take the first bit of damage. Grenades are being used, however, to get rid of some of that utility. And his Bullet is heading towards the pillar room. He's about to spot the head, but he's not quite able to get the kill down onto Cryan, who instantly repicks that fight.
Astro also suffered a little bit as they tried to pull in to put a bit more pressure onto it, and you can see FaZe is starting to warm into where Rogue are. They're learning the positions, they're learning the plays. As I said, it was an early wake-up and a shake-up, but it's something that if they got it and needed it, they're using it. They're trying to find the fight from underneath pillars as they're swinging around closer and closer. They're so aware of each other's presence, but without the confidence of getting the angle, it's not quite coming together. Leon drifted over the open hole. That gives the game away. There's a player underneath, but 50 seconds. FaZe need to find that opening body. Well, generally. However, we have seen them explode onto site when they want to. It's just a matter of when.
That is the thing, right? They have the opportunity to explode onto the side, and that is something they will want to go for. Incendiary bolts are about to be coming down to hopefully put down some pressure onto the members of Rogue, and a smoke grenade, yeah, well, that will be blocking Cryan out as Astro gets the first into Prana, but the refrags are starting to come in.
Leon gets one, the swing gets punished, Capital dropped on the double window. Suddenly, a 4 versus 2. One up White Stairs and the other on the piano side. A great take. Finds Leon on the corner. 15 seconds. The bathroom's the next hop in. It's a dangerous as souls go down. It's all Cyberzera left. Hits the hop, can't get the lock, and Rogue find their second in a row.
Fist bumps instantly going out to the players themselves. For those of you who don't know, when they're in the online stage, they're all playing in their own homes, of course, and we have those player cams active, so every single time they win a round, we hop over to them as well, and they just punch towards their cameras, and it's actually, you know, that aggressive, you'd almost say, that Aces always has to readjust it back, like, put it back on the right place right afterwards. He gives some good player boxes there, for sure. Either way, Rogue are able to get a second one here in a row. Their defense that starts off strong. You said it before, it's not normally their strong feet. So with them being able to start out like this, well, that is definitely going to be a big help for them. And let's see if they can continue that. Let's see how many more defensive rounds they can pick up before FaZe finds a response.
Well, Rogue, now I have a couple of questions, and it's a curiosity. Is this because FaZe was the top danger dog in the group, and this is the preparation coming together on this, that maybe you didn't quite have as a focus? Because you would have prepped for every team in your group. You know me, P. You know this team, you know the experience, but you would have probably gone a little bit extra homework onto FaZe, who are, as said, if you have a tournament favorite in your group, you have to pay attention to the danger there. You have to see the further you can get in a game against them, the more likely you are to find yourself in second place. Is this the double down from yesterday? Is this FaZe? There's just questions that are throwing in. The longer we get into this game, the more of that we might start to see answered, because, as I said, it's still very early doors. It's 2 rounds in. It's hitting up Cafe, which does generally lean into the defenders in terms of how it can be played. It's an okay map for Rogue. It's an okay map for FaZe. It's turning into a game.
Ryan right here on top of the minibar, hoping to find one of these FaZe members. Is receiving a bit of a pressure point, really, from the east or south side repel, I'm sorry, from the piano side. Cyber, that is kind of repelled up there, starting to open up some windows, hoping to put some pressure down onto the members of Rogue. Grenades are about to be tossed in as well. But we'll not really find anything but give away information to the side of Rogue. That is one grenade less they will have to worry about. Soon, the top 4, however, will fall. Soon, FaZe will get that under control. It is just a matter of time, because that is the first step to this site. You need to get that top 4 control, then you work on the verticality. However, the issue I'm seeing currently with the lineup is there is no Sledge, there is no Buck. So I'm hoping, yes, just 3 breaching charges on the side of Astro. Those need to be in the right places to get rid of the anchor positions that are currently being used by Rogue as a aggressive sweep right here from Aces comes through.
He was looking for that fight, and the violence has been pretty concurrent with everything that Rogue have put into this game so far. They are hugely talented gunners that just couldn't quite get the momentum and the thread of all of them into a nice garment of victory. It has been a bit hit and miss at points, and well, there's the first time the misses come through onto their side. CyberZero opens up, Souls quickly follows with Leon putting a little bit back against Cameraman. Rips is on the corridor on the top of White, putting a bit of a fire in, but you're looking at the damage that Leon has suffered. It's not great, the positioning that he needs to be in to keep the pressure hot, because it doesn't take much. The grenade is the lock-off. CyberZero does go down. It is technically a 3 versus 2 versus 2 with one still down. Can't quite get the full finish. They swung in to try and get the pickup, and it's just going to be a slow creep to a lock-off. But look at the 2 other FaZe players. They're keeping the pressure down onto the site itself. They're underneath on the corridor, slipping their way through. They are in the train room, putting the pressure on the mantle. Prano goes for the rotate, ignoring the body on the top. Can they lock it off?
No clue where they are currently. Bullet and Souls, they have cleared out the train room itself, and the plant's about to be coming down. Souls puts down that diffuser. They need to start retaking the site now, but one is hiding in the corner of the train museum. And Soprano then needs to try and pick up that kill. Flashbangs come out as Rips with the very first kill to come through. It's actually, no, it's to confirm, and that means Bullet is going to be able to bring it into a 2-on-1 situation. Rips needs to find one outside, he needs to find one inside, but neither will happen. It's FaZe that pick up their first round here and bring it up to a 2-1.
It was very good positioning there by the 2 remaining players of FaZe. They read that there was a player upstairs, and they went, well, let's put pressure onto the one on site. It's technically a 2 versus 1 if we can find this fight. Rips and Prano in the positioning, they pulled back. They tried to offer a bit of space towards them so they could regroup. It was a clever idea, and it was a good, smart move, because I think they worked out that they don't want to make it a 2 versus 1 to 2 versus 1s. But unfortunately, the way things actually came to the push on the shove a second too late, and a second misread on where the final player was led them to a tricky situation, but still, it was a good fight. Now, however, FaZe have a bit of momentum. They have a round, they have something under their belt, and they did have the opener from that previous round.
Need to locate and defuse they have that one indeed. And Rogue, they continue their rotation, going to the bottom floor now, towards the kitchen and the service area. Now, there's a couple of ways that this can be played. Often we do see a small extension into the bakery. But if you don't see that, you can guarantee there will be one inside of VIP. That is the default one. There's always someone playing there with a shield. Normally it's the smoke as well. That has the opportunity to just, well, alleviate the pressure on himself just a little bit by smoking off that area, making sure that the push is not really coming through as the attack might want. And that is why the attack will have to make choices. They have to sacrifice certain areas of the map because they need to use utility onto VIP. The question is, how will they do that? Well, there's a very simple answer for that. It's currently the Flores. You just get that drone in, you get rid of the shield, you get rid of the ADSs, and suddenly you can start throwing in your utility and potentially follow up yourselves as well.
Well, FaZe Clan, you found a bit of fire and pepper. Can that translate to a little bit more damage? A different approach here as it is on a new site, as they're sort of weighing up the possibility of Bakery as a first point of pressure. A pre-fire in the corner, but CyberZero wants to match the fight, just takes the territory, realizes it was free and they could just throw themselves in the claw. Might slow them down for a moment, but it's going to be a steady burn as they look for the grenade over the top to catch it out. Won't get it.
No, hidden up right above. You see it there. It's on that little rafter area up there, so that is going to be safe from those grenades. They need to angle it in the right way. That might actually get it though. No, actually not as well. Needed to be a little bit higher, so they are actually going to have to use yet another grenade. That does go the right way, but lands a bit too deep, so they still don't manage to clear it out. And now the canisters of the blowtorch will be used to hopefully pick up that electro claw. They're struggling with it, however, and the call will be made to, you know what, scrap that. We're going to be opening it up old school style. Just get rid of the anchor points, and we move through as Bullet gets 2 kills to start it off.
Gets the double, gets the lockdown. Leon's keeping a firm eye on the artwork that's slowly happening on the Bakery wall, but with Cryan suffering too and Brano going down, suddenly Bullet is just absolutely tearing through this back line of Rogue. They have found themselves in a tight fight, and there's finally Bullet down and out, locked off with Leon still above. They need to see if they can realign these 2 remaining players. 1 remaining player. Cameraman opened the front door, kicked it down, and found a fight. There's a spray round on the backside. They're going to see if they can get the next, but it's multi-angles. Leon was in a tricky situation, and we are back even.
We're back even out indeed. It's a 2-2, and Leon had the right idea there. He hoped to go for the member inside of the lobby area. However, the shots, the spray came through from the kitchen instead, which of course took his attention like it should. As a result, he walked right into a crossfire. 2-2, currently all equalized here. Rogue already have managed to pick up 2 rounds, which was not done before against FaZe, but they want more than that. They want to pick up points. Preferably 3, but I think any point here would already be considered profit, because that is a point that your opposition was not able to get in the previous 2 games.
I mean, that's the thing, is even now at the minute, the round difference is one that you could have seen going away from them, but still, Rogue have a tenacity. They have an ability to keep fighting through. If they can, the more damage that they can put in on this game specifically, it already weighs up better than their opponents have done. Even though that they've technically taken 2 OT wins against their opponents, that round difference, you never know how vital that can be. We've seen at the end of leagues, multi-mini tournaments on round difference alone.
We have indeed. The round differential often does come in as a tiebreaker rule in case there is one. If that one doesn't manage to solve it, if everything is identical, that's when you get that tiebreaker matchup that is so, well, famous or infamous depending on what side you were on the coin during the Mexico Major. 2-2 round 5. We are back in the top floor. And FaZe will have to attack yet once again. This site was won by Rogue before, so FaZe will have to adapt. FaZe will have to try and figure out what exactly did go wrong lately. So they managed to find a way to answer to it. They find a way to get that round going their way this time.
Wow, FaZe, now you've built some steam and some momentum. It seems like you've started to warm up, but it has been led by Bullet popping off a lot in the previous round. Here, we obviously had those similar moments for Rogue, and I guess it's always the curiosity of how much more are they going to lean into this. They have a couple of more chances to put a bit of a boon in terms of their defenses, and that's not the way they want it to start. Ace is dropped by Astro, the swing round. They've lost the mute, they've lost some of that utility, and they've been able to actually take over the direct line of Cigar. Cameraman gets one more, and this is the FaZe that we were used to seeing yesterday. See territory, take territory, lock off bodies, and go for blood.
They just had a bit of a rush start up here for their game as Leon is trying to flank right around the corner, has the opportunity to pick up one, does so as well. That's Astro down, and that's the Ace, and the Selma's gone. They could have still been useful for some of these setups. Get rid of shields, for example, but might not stop FaZe itself. They have incredible gun skill, and they can just force themselves through chokeholds. That's actually a repel in to come through, and suddenly they turn it back around. It's a diffuser dropped, and it's only up to Cyber and Cameraman now in a 2-on-3 situation as Leon is even more aggressive than he was before, hoping to pick up the kill as it gets full flashed.
I mean, the leaning on the aggression, crying with one more, doubled up on the staircase. He's taking blood on both either side of the map. Suddenly, CyberZera is all that is left, and that came from Rogue not shying away. They saw that they'd lost a bit of ground and decided, well, we want that back, took it, and found the bodies in the meantime. 50 seconds, and a 3 versus 1 with 2 of the players already injured. Rogue aren't overextending. They have themselves stretched out over the far side. They would have known where the player was and wanted to approach from, so they're going to let it be a slow and steady build. The pre-fires and pops are coming through. Prano's going to be the first to meet it, and it's actually CyberZera with a double either side on the split, and suddenly it's turned into a 1 versus 1. A sliver of health either side. The hop onto the white corridor. He takes the fight. CyberZera with the triple kill. Clutch.
No way that he pulls that off. It's yet another clutch that we get to see, and FaZe in around that. The coach's like, calm down, calm down. Keep it going. We need to continue. We've lost 2 rounds already. It's more than we should have, but what a clutch that was. Cyber in a 1v3. It looked like it was going Rogue's way. It was a 3-on-5. A kill comes in from Leon. 2 repels are being punished just like a hatch drop itself, and the eventual diffuser does get dropped. Cyber decided to pick it up, but he somehow just wins it, and it's a crossfire he was in. It just was not quick enough. It's just that half a second delay that was in it before the second player peaked. That was just enough for him to flick right on him and get that kill and bring it to a 1v1.
3-2. And Rogue, they're going to see if they can make it run back here on the top floor. It was built from aggression. They almost had it. A 3 versus 1 clutch from CyberZera was monumental. The first 2 was a trade that should have gone against him, and to be fair, it was close. If one of those players had had a little bit more health, it might have been a different story, but the story told is a great clutch. The crying showdown on the end of the white corridor, couldn't quite get the connection. The F2. Oh, that's a hell of a gun. Now, Rogue have a situation where they might be able to find a bit of balance here. If they can, that's still not the worst thing in the world because, okay, Cafe is a map that does lend itself well to defenders, but you're against tournament favorites and you're on what is statistically your weaker half. It's again something that you've always got to sort of harp back to. This is a map that, you know, I think it was one of their better defender sides in terms, I think in EUL it was about 60% success on their defense generally, but still tournament favorites.
That's it, right? Tournament favorites, and they're one of the 2 remaining that haven't lost a map yet. Space Station, of course, have lost a map. BDS has not, and FaZe, well, they are the other true favorites, at least from the start of it. Of course, that starts to change as a bit of a struggle there. Doesn't have any struggles hitting heads, but the magnets seem to be a bit more difficult.
They're tough.
They're tough, yeah, definitely.
Now a quick approach over the top. They're going to see if they can put the pressure onto Cigar as quickly as they did before. Trying to take care of as much damage as possibility, though Astro is steadying, trying to find Cryin, the loose player that caused problems for them before. They're going to make sure that Roma isn't anywhere near able to go for the hunt that was almost round-defining the previous time round. He's flirting with the idea of danger, and he's going to hold off for now. Lumber gets grenaded out. They're looking towards white, and soon we're going to assume we see some boots on the ground inside Piano.
For sure, they definitely need to, as a air jab is being heard here by Cryin. He wants to hunt it down, he wants to find it, so he has the opportunity to, of course, really rotate around later. The Sense, those red stairs, has gone for a big run out before as well, and could do so again, but this time there's a member waiting down there. I believe it's Astro that is sitting there, not quite sure. At least they're very close to one another. Yeah, it is. He's about to go up the brown stairs as it's Cryin that is descending the red one. What does he know? That's the big question.
That's it. Did they have a read that someone was there? Is he going to go for a hop out here that might be able to punish something? He's baiting a game, but Cyberzera is pushed onto Leon and onto Aces on the top, taking over the site itself. One more for the man who's now on 6 in a row, and suddenly it's just Crying left. This is that FaZe execute where it goes 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. They take fights everywhere, and if we open with a flawless from one team, we're not going to end on it just yet, but it's not looking good. Bodies all over. Zulu is the lockout. Yes, it is a sandwich of flawlesses, a 4-2 And now the pressure's on Rogue.
Yeah, the 4-2 definitely favors FaZe here. And we're heading into round 7, this time with FaZe onto the defense themselves. This is the moment where Rogue get to show what they have ready on their attacks. But if you really saw the chat earlier on, like, they're a bit lighthearted about it as well. It's like, at least not the 7-0. Like, that doesn't sound like you're gonna be smashing them into the ground yourselves when you're on that defense or on the attack right now. Either way, they're going to give it their all. They're going to give it their best because they want to go through playoffs. That is what their goal is here, of course, to make Europe proud. Potentially even go to the 6th Invitational because they're not locked out. I believe they needed a top 4 finish for them to have that opportunity to go to Montreal.
FaZe and Rogue, yeah, both of them. Actually, ironically, fighting for SI. Not even FaZe are locked in as well. They're one of the teams that are still dancing in the aether. Okay, it looks likely, but likely isn't locked in. Locked in is a very different story. Rogue now, they're looking at their first attack as being the possibility to drive some of that pace. We've seen both teams have exceptional prep on each other. It looked like FaZe had all A4s printed on each of them as a bit of a handout in how they can look towards fighting Rogue here. They'll have a knowledge, and Rogue, well, they'll still have a mountain.
Yeah, so for everybody wondering, what FaZe needs to do is make it out of groups. That is the way that they will be able to go for the qualification. As Astro here takes the first fight onto Prano. He's going to be able to get quite a bit of a tag down, rotates all the way back to the bottom floor, but no kill just yet.
It's a bit of a wake-up call, but we've already seen how that's gone for one team, so let's see if it puts a bit of pressure onto the approach here of Rogue, suffering against their own game. Leon is looking for the fight here towards the body buried in on the close cocktail bar. It's a place for the VIPs, but the most important person right now is the one that they want to try and kick out and get rid of, Cyberzera, who led through 2 of the previous rounds, 6 kills across both of them, really heated up, and really brought FaZe back into the fight at the very end there. Cameraman has the lock-off on the coat room, but he's not going to make sure he doesn't get checked out by a grenade as the pressure starts to come through. The smoke canister is going to buy them some time, but look at this. Astro with the C4 over the top. They're really leaning into this approach.
They really want to go aggressive here. They want to make sure that that meeting room or meeting desk is, well, not really being effective here for Rogue, as that's the first swing. Cyber is going to be able to win that one. Gets right behind the shield, back into safety as well as the proximity sensor starts scanning. Knows one was inside, but didn't expect Crying to be in there. Prone. He's going to be able to pick up that kill as that's the rotation that gets caught off. Ooh, Astro, DB node.
So close to taking out a teammate there as well, and suddenly it's a 4 versus 2 technically. Astro should be able to crawl onto site, but it really depends on if they trust the rotation and roam they need to make. There it is. A trail of blood leads to a man that picks them up and puts them back in the fight. Now, you're looking at what's been taken out of Rogue. They've lost a buck to be able to do some of the self-destruction above, but they still have Crying. These aggressive angles are being held, and FaZe has separated themselves. The perfect curve and the sea cacophony is the angles that they want to make sure is locked off, but they still have to keep an eye towards that backside of Freezer. It is partially open. It's not the most impossible thing for the pressure to come through on. It's where Rogue decide they've got to push to next with a minute left on.
55 seconds. You hear the Argus being used, the SEM cams as we call them as well, trying to get some of that information into the hands of Rogue. They need to try and figure out where these members are, see what is the weakest current position that FaZe has, so they know exactly where they need to be entering from, because there is only 35 seconds left, and it's Bullet that turns it back into a 3-on-3 situation. Suddenly, FaZe is back into the round again due to that pickup, due to that kill. And now Prana, well, he needs to find one instead of being found himself.
It's tight angles, it's danger, and it's 20 seconds. And I'm assuming that's the sledge quickly rotating around to offer some support. There it is. The wall gets knocked through. They'll do the call. The hop comes on. Prano has dug their way in, has the diffuser and the chassis in front of them. Astro's going to see if he can reposition, but it's into Aces. His crossfire Aces! The double either side of the long wall. Rogue open up their attacks with a preciously needed round for 3. It's still on.
It is still on. The game is not over yet by a long shot. Rogue is looking to close the gap here. They're looking to close the rounds. If they manage to find one more, we're back in a 4-on-4, and it's going to be sprint to the end to see who had the better attack or defensive half. Now, FaZe, they brought it almost back. And Aces doing what he does best. It's been a while since we've seen him like this, but he's starting to show up more and more like it every single game.
All right, FaZe, you have not been pushed this far by a team before. And as we said, this is where Rogues start to light up. It's a confidence thing for the team as well. They're putting in a great performance. They are showing up in a gunfight game. You're looking at across the board, Crying Aces, Rips and Leon as well. Obviously, Prano's the IGL. It's not fully his role to get into the fight, but still, the other 4 names that can have these huge moments are. There's no better time and team to go up against, where we're seeing Bullet and CyberZero put in a huge amount of pressure, but so far, not all of FaZe has quite been able to dig in with the same bravado that they flirted with so perfectly yesterday and so frequently during Latin American leagues.
For the 3, the aggression that Rogue seems to be bringing catches FaZe off guard every now and then. They try and bring the aggression themselves. I mean, for example, we did see Cyber jumping in with the Twitch through Skylight and picking up a triple kill, for example. So it's not like they don't have the aggression themselves. It's just that Rogue's aggression seems to be catching them off. Like they did not really expect it from them in some of these cases, especially during those first 2 rounds, which of course they lost. As Leon gets. Just heard a reinforcement being finished there, and he's like, maybe I can try and catch one off guard as a result, but unfortunately for him, did not get the opportunity to.
Well, they're going to see if they can isolate some of the fight here around the top. It's a top-down take with Aces working his way over the white corridor with the pressure onto the stairs. The Gridlock, not the most common scene operator. Double down with the Nomad is that sort of curious lockdown. They're going to try and go for a full control over 2 very precise and dangerous staircases to sort of force FaZe into a more potentially uncomfortable situation. There's always still the possibility of C4s. There's still that intel in the read that could be broken away here, and well, there's the Warden that might try and stop something if they go for something aggressive with smokes and the potential, but it's grenades bounced far back that seems to be the start.
The thing about it, right, is for this side you need that top floor control, and if you manage to get it, you do not want someone to retake it. As Bullet here is able to retake quite some ground, is able to go and get himself right near the bar, into the freezer he goes. He's found himself into safety, falling all the way back, but still a member left right behind the cigar shop. He gets caught up there, got droned out, and that's the entry here for Rogue. Rips finds him, and as I'm continuing my story now, as soon as you take that top floor control, you do not want to lose it again due to a member going back up to the top floor.
Now look at this, 2 FaZe players going for a rotation underneath. They are going to see if they can double stick down and put some pressure onto the swing out potential of Rogue. Hope that they stall. They are both currently underneath Crying, who might not know of the danger that lurks under the boards. Oh wait, he does! Yellow pings give a game away, and there's a dead player. One more is still playing around Train. The pressure isn't entirely off, but suddenly it's a 5 versus 3. CyberZero pops a smoke to buy themselves a second more time, as the C4 is not entirely in pocket now, doesn't quite have the use that it could have been before. A slow creep up white, and Souls at least stops the bleeding with a big gun on the far side as CyberZero stacks up on the shield. They don't have the swing because of the smoke, but they sure have a read on where they are. CyberZero with 1, the trade comes through for Crying. 30 seconds and a 3 versus 2.
They need to pick him up right here. Souls gets found as he tries to put himself into a passive angle, and it's only up to cameraman now. He's in a 1-on-3 situation, 25 seconds left. Of course, has that shotgun, has the SMG. It's a good kit to try and close out this round with. And 18 seconds on the clock, he tries to rotate back up, but the track stingers will catch him off, and Rips gets that kill. The gap has been bridged. We're back in a 4-on-4 now, and Rogue, they're bringing the game to FaZe here. They're letting them know that it's not over yet. FaZe, you might know how to attack, but so does Rogue.
Well, this is, I guess, for a lot of people, a surprise based on the performances yesterday. It's 4-4. It's a great lead in here from Rogue. They've come in with the confidence and bravado of a team that knows what they're up against and knows what it's like to play on a huge stage. And I think that is always going to be a factor. Okay, obviously OXG is the fourth entity of this, have a lot of experience, but when they went up against FaZe and throughout all of this tournament, they are missing their best player, their key, a player with all that history and all that knowledge. They're still putting in fights, but it's tougher. Now, obviously, from the case of the Chiefs, only one of them has international experience, and that sort of brings it round to a fresh squad. So, meeting these opponents from other regions is a learning experience for sure. Rogue, by and large, have earned a fearlessness. They have had ups and downs. They've had some of the worst downs any team has had. An entire split of losses. Yeah, it sort of gives you...
It went 0-11 at some point, right?
And it's like, and if they go up a team that's 14-0'd, for Rogue, that's like, oh yeah, we've suffered that before.
It's like Rogue last year. They had 11 losses in a row, which is also a record, I think, for a professional player, one that you do not want to have. The first game they won was the one where they played for the relegation matchup, so that was, I think, the streak ended in time, I would dare to say.
There wouldn't be a more perfect game to end a loss streak
sure.
than the one that keeps you in the league.
And then, during the next year, they started off strong during Stage 1. Stage 2, again, the same issue starts to happen. Now they avoid relegations and they find themselves here at the Major. They said to themselves they want to go back to their old ways, and we jokingly said, does that mean get first rounded? But of course that is not what they meant. They want to go back to those old performances where they were able to consistently make it to the Major, consistently make it and put up some good pressure upon themselves. And well, Rogue for sure seems to be doing that right now. They're bringing the fight here to FaZe, and if they get this win, oh man, they're looking good for it as Aces gets a very important entry frag grenade there. That is going to be removing Souls from a very important position, and Cyber taking quite a bit of damage himself as well.
That grenade must have just rolled onto the front. Astro and Cameraman bite back with the sprays over the smoke. Pick up the diffuser, and it's one more for CyberZera, who has been that consistency, biting and battling back. Bullet with the lockdown on the bar, and CyberZera shuts the door. They go back into the lead, 5-4. One more to secure themselves at least OT. One more chance to make sure they don't go to their third OT this tournament.
Rogue wanted to go for a bit of a quick push there. They got the smokes out, they got the track stingers out, they got the air jabs through. However, the fire from FaZe through the smoke was just too accurate. Managed to pick up 2 kills as a result, and suddenly everything starts to fall apart. You might have that entry, but you will need more than that. And now Rogue, well, they're still focused for it. They know they can take this. They know they can win it. And the reading room and fireplace will be attempted yet once again by FaZe. Rogue, they need to make sure they win this one, though, if they do not want to bring this to OT. Leon said it before. They were kind of upset about the fact that they went to OT, because that was not really what they wanted. They think they could have locked it out before. Well, this is an opportunity to try and lock it out before.
FaZe have been able to find one on their defense so far. They've broken at least the thread of rounds that Rogue might have been able to put together. And to be fair, if we look at how the game opened, it was 2 Rogue rounds and then FaZe came back. Here, the second half, 2 Rogue rounds, and FaZe have at least gone back to 1. Can they now try and thread that and match some of the work they did in the first half to lock this out and find the full 3 points, securing pretty much their growth out of groups? With how there's been a lot of half points, I would have to run the maths, but it might also relay on the results happening on the other stream, the Chiefs versus OXG that is currently in progress. However, we still find ourselves closing in on the potential end of this game, and it's been very back and forth. There is still momentum and possibility for Rogue. They are still sharp. Can they just jab it home?
There's the thing, can they try and at least get a point out of this one? I already said before, that is already considered a good result, given how the rest of the group went. That's a point that neither of the other 2 teams have managed to get. There's one more. They have the opportunity to win here. Maybe OT, continue that streak, or maybe something else. As a run out there actually tags up Leon Gitch just slightly. Aces, he responded to it, but never had the opportunity to actually go for a kill.
And that's it. He saw it at the last second. He's waiting cautiously. He doesn't want to give the game away that he's there because it's a dangerous place to be. And there's a lot of different angles and windows that you can be dropped from. It's a cautious hold as you wait for some of the work and pressure to be done elsewhere, which is the steady approach here from Rogue. Obviously, Leon has suffered a bit. There is a big drop on a huge amount of utility, and there is obviously still Aces playing on the far side. Going to look towards that Christmas door potentially now, and with the bodies still above, Leon is the first, followed by a second and a third, and the Rogue players fall across the top of the red stairs.
Yeah, this top floor, this cocktail lounge, that's what they need to get. There's 3 members inside of it, and if they manage to pick up one, surely they will start falling back right afterwards. It's a grenade, yeah, once again from Aces that opens up the scoreline here. It's the kill onto Cyber that will lend them a bit of an opening, but last time it all went wrong very quickly after this one. Bullet, however, gets found this time by a triple man peak to come through. A bit of team damage, but that is going to be okay, as Cameraman, however, finds a response into Aces.
Now they utilize the stun to know that a player was down there. There is the take. Leon gets revenge, and suddenly it's just Astro left. A 3 versus 1 does not go their way, and Rogue keep themselves in this game 5-5. 1 round back and forth. 1 round separates each team from OT, 2 from taking the full 3 points. There's only 2 rounds left of regular play. This is anyone's game.
I can only imagine how the Twitch points went as well, considering how the socials went through. There's a bunch of Rogue fans right now. They're cheering super hard for them because they know they're about to be making a big profit there. But Rogue, they're about to be, or have the opportunity potentially to make a big profit themselves as well, because if they pick up these 3 points, suddenly they find themselves first in the group. And who would have expected that one after how Rogue performed during EUL? It was like they barely made it in to the Sweden Major. It was a close call. And now they will be topping out their groups. Potentially, we will see.
They gotta take the full 3.
They gotta take the full 3 in that case to have that opportunity. For now, they're equal. 5-on-5. Whoever wins this next round has the match point and gets to put up the pressure towards the other team. And surely, whoever loses this round will be calling a tactical timeout right after this, because that next round needs to go well. Neither team has called it yet.
I think that's one of the big things about this game is, okay, sure, FaZe threaded 4 rounds in a row before the split. They had a chance to have a conversation then, if at any point, but that was part of Rogue's expected play based on how they probably thought it would go versus FaZe exceptional attacks and how they like to play. Yep. Hopped up on there, it's tricky. It gives you such a filthy angle, and if unchecked, it can be a disaster for players on the approach here. And Rogue, well, to be fair, their drone game has seemed pretty precise in terms of intel gathering.
But a bit of verticality, though, will instantly pick him up. So that is something you have to be careful of. Of course, it's not someone that just rappels up into that room straight away and opens up on him. Unless they do get a drone inside and figure out where he is. No, instead, it's Leon that tries to go quick. It's Rogue that goes for another quick push right here like they have done before. This quick shot gives it away. Nobody entries there. Leon gets in the middle of the site right now. They have the site control. They need to get the Echo as well as he goes down. But a plant in the meantime will be attempted.
It's a 5 versus 3 at this moment in time. He's technically not down and out. The fight goes 5 versus 2. They saw a door and took it, and as they get Leon back up, the plant is going to be stuck this time round. A rotation either side, one on the bottom of the white, one on the bakery with all the pings in the world. The intel comes through, scratched and dropped crying, but Rips is there for revenge, and Rogue find themselves just 30 seconds away from confirming OT and some points on the board.
Oh,
the spray over the top. They're going for the pickup. Never leave a man behind. And the air jab comes through. Rogue.
They're papers. They're in a good position right here. They have the opportunity to lock it off, and Kitchen will yet again be attempted here by FaZe. Up to the bottom floor they go. And surely this time around, a push or a rush like that will not work. You would expect them to be ready for it. You will expect someone to be watching the side of prep. But it's not the only way they can push from. It's not the only way they can rush from.
And I think one of the things as well, if I'm going to highlight it, is just the spread of the players that have been able to dig into the gunfight of this game. FaZe were one of those teams that came in where every single player was positive, was dangerous. Here, they haven't quite been able to have that same five-handed slap back against Rogue, who have been multifunctional. You're never quite sure which player is going to be the one that leads in, but with 4 of them on what is an even a positive KD, it's a danger because that angle of fights, it just takes 2 drops on Cyber's Arrow or Bullet, and suddenly the gun game is statistically favored towards Rogue.
You know, they said it before, they needed an IGL on the side of Rogue that was suiting their aggressive playstyle. I think Prano is really nailing it with the call of these rushes every single time, because there's just a single one I've seen fail so far. And his Souls, while he wanted to get back on top of the shelf there, he decides that it's time to give up. There's not really enough time as the pressure is already coming down, and he lost one of his yokais early on. They knew where it was, they did take it out, and they force him to go into a different position and put up a shield somewhere because he still has that one in pocket.
Leon puts pressure as well. Did you see the pre-fire? That intel that Rogue has on FaZe is so locked in. And it's a consistency that has come across this entire attacking half. They seem to know where FaZe likes to hold and hide out, and they are leaning in to those positions. The pressure and that prep is really coming through for them here. Now, as they take the drop onto the top of the floor, it's up to FaZe to see if they can shake the woodwork and the mantle. There is an angle, and Bullet is great at these bullet hole holds. Can they go for a bit of a stretch here? Astro's on the favor. I'm not sure. The hatch is open. They have the rotation capabilities if they want to take it, and they're more than ready to go for the drop if need be, but, well, there's this drop on the drone, and there's 2 players pulling back.
The sound being made to at least let them know, hey, we were here. That means the extra droning now has to be done by the side of Rogue, but 1 minute 30 left on that clock. They need to start opening up some verticalities here, as Prano is looking to enter in from the backside. That's, I believe, either a Mozzie drone or a yokai taken care of. Not quite sure which of the 2 it was, but he's about to be swung on himself right there, as one of the FaZe members was quickly trying to well, pay some attention to him.
Yeah, the pings come through. They have an idea that somebody's close, and who gets the read? It's a scrappy fight. Mozzie pulls back. Look at Aces making a move. The spray over the top doesn't quite connect, and there's Aces trying to get the back of a player that is isolated. You expect FaZe are going to offer some support. The grenade forces a movement. Can't get the catch. There it is!
Free fire!
That is a big gun that goes bird. Has a huge magazine for just those occasions. The premonition comes through, forced by a grenade. Leon and Cyber hit each other's heads, and Cyber's the one that locks it off. In the meantime, Astro gets one more. Aces is gone. A huge blow on the backside as Rips now has to try and creep between Cameraman and Astro at the bottom of the red stairs. They're looking for a connection from above, but with 30 seconds, they've really got to start thinking of how they can push themselves into the site.
FO12 still in play as well for the Ella. That might be the difference maker here as Rips gets a kill. Cyber, you are the big man now. You need to come in big with the Titan killer, but he fails. It's Grind to pick up that kill. The plans will be attempted yet once more. That's the Echo that falls. It's Cameraman, the last man standing. He is taken out. Rogue defeat FaZe, and they are the ones to end that reign for now. It was 14-0 before this. It's Rogue to take their first full win here. That's 3 points. That's them in the lead of their group.
An absolutely huge game from a